You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host, Nesbitt. Today, we're taking a break from our coverage of the 2020 singles to cover a special day. It's the release day for Year of the Demon. So that comes out today. It's the compilation that brings together all of Night Demon's 2020 singles and B-sides that were formerly only available on 7-inch vinyl. So it's available on vinyl, cassette, and CD. If you haven't had a chance to pick up a physical copy yet, it's available on streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, all major digital streaming platforms. So it's a pretty exciting day for Night Demon fans. And in a minute, we're going to hear from Jarvis Leatherby, who has info on all this. I want to quickly mention a few important dates and some information. Night Demon's album release show for this Year of the Demon compilation is April 16th. At Casa Agria Brewery in Oxnard, California. If you're wondering why it's at a brewery, it's also the release of Beer of the Demon. So a beer release / album release. What could be better than that? If you're curious about Beer of the Demon, Armand and Jarvis will be going through the brewing process live at Casa Agria Brewing on the Night Demon Instagram and Facebook pages on April 1st. At 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so you can get a look behind the curtain at how the beer is made and the whole process. Jarvis is going to have more information on that in a minute. The artwork for the label of Beer of the Demon, available on nightdemon.net if you want to take a look at it. It's a pretty cool looking label. So let's get into it. In a rare live appearance on this podcast, online we have Jarvis Leatherby. Okay, I'm on the line with Jarvis Leatherby. It's new album release day, so it's been a long time in the making. It's exciting.
Yeah, man, we are fucking pumped. I've already seen stuff online. Some people have received their copies already. We've got some special bundles that are coming from the band. Unfortunately, those won't be out until mid-April because we have to sign everything, which makes it even cooler, but we won't be together as a full band until the second week of April, so we're going to do that immediately when Dusty comes to town. I'm in Ireland, Armand's still in Ventura, so we're all going to meet up then and get rehearsing and, get ready to hit the road and do this Night Demon thing again. So the first thing we'll be doing is signing all of the cassettes and the CDs and the LPs and getting the hoodies and the shirts and everything together and getting them out to people that have ordered those. In the meantime, today, March 25th, the record is out. It's going to be on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Music, so stream it to your heart's desire and wait for those physical copies to come in. For those of you that have not picked one up, they are available at all major retailers.
Yeah, and more info on nightdemon.net, and I think it's pretty cool that you guys did a cassette release.
Yeah, we've actually obtained some licenses for all of our records on cassette, and that's something that we're talking about doing right now. I think what we might do is a box set and a Night Demon cassette player and just do, I think, like the first 10 years box set. But we may wait for the new record to come out at the end of the year and just have it all on there, or we may just include Year of the Demon. I don't know, because we're going to do it for Live Darkness too. So you got to think the EP, Curse of the Damned, Darkness Remains, Live Darkness, Year of the Demon, and then the upcoming studio album. That's quite a cassette box, but
sounds awesome.
We wanted to throw that in with the Night Demon player, like a Bluetooth Walkman, and I think it'd be awesome. So we may wait for the new record to come out to do that, and that for all the cassette lovers out there, we'll just make a limited edition run of them, and I think it'll be awesome.
Cool. So Year of the Demon And along with that, you have Beer of the Demon.
Yes.
And there's an album release show and a beer release show all in one. Do you want to tell people about the beer release and the album release?
Yeah. So April 16th in Oxnard, California, we will be doing an official release show. So Oxnard is the city next to Ventura, and that's actually the city that Armand and I grew up in. But we're doing it at a brewery called Casa Agria, which is a really cool brewery. They do a lot of punk rock and metal stuff, but they are making a beer, the Beer of the Demon. So we'll be releasing a new beer that day, and we'll be playing these new songs from that record. And it's our first hometown show since 2018. So it's a lot to look forward to there. We're trying to make it really special. We do have advance tickets available at nightdemon.net. And for all the podcast listeners, we can assure you that we will be talking to people there at the show, and we'll be recording the show. So we're going to cover the whole show here on the podcast. For those of you who live in other parts of the world and can't make it. For those of you who live in other parts of the world and still want to come out, of course, you are more than welcome.
Cool. And in addition to that, you have another live stream, April 1st from the brewery?
Yes, this is not an April Fool's joke, but April 1st, myself and Armand will be at the brewery. So from 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. or sorry, I'm sorry, 8 p.m. Central European time, and 7 p.m. UK time. Sorry, I got to cover all these territories because we have so many awesome fans around the world. We will be doing a live stream for 1 hour, and we will be going over the entire brewing process. That's April 1st is actually the brewing day for our beer. I don't think we'll be canning it that day, but they will be brewing it. And so, I'm interested in this too. There's a lot for us to learn. So on the Night Demon Facebook page, we'll be going live at 11 a.m. Pacific. I will be handling that. And on the Night Demon Instagram page, Armand will be going live at 11 a.m. Pacific on April 1st. So for whichever platform you guys like to use or are more comfortable with, that's how we're going to do it. And you'll get a perspective from each of us. So for those of you that have real ADD, you can have your phone on Facebook and your phone on Instagram and your computer on Facebook and watch them both simultaneously. But I'm sure we'll be, I think there's a way that you can repost those too. So for those who can't catch the live stream, we'll keep it up on the social platforms so you can watch it later. If there's a way for us to capture that and add it to the bonus content section for the subscribers, of course, we're going to do that too. So yeah, a lot of really cool things happening here, and we're just trying to still keep the fans engaged with the process, of everything that this band does.
Well, as I kind of dabble a bit in home brewing, so I'm definitely going to be checking this out. I'm super interested in taking a look. Pretty cool. That's a cool idea. Seems like you guys have a lot going on.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, we're coming up on almost 90 episodes of this podcast, consistent every week, and I know you've been busting your ass on this. And, we're going to, now that touring is coming up, I mean, we have about 100 shows coming up this year alone, and, more music to be released. And, it's going to be a challenge to keep this going, but we will stay consistent, and we will be doing a lot of episodes from the road, and it's going to be really interesting to say the least. But we're up for the challenge, and we've like you said, we've stayed busy during all these lockdowns for the last couple of years, and it's kind of like you get used to that, and now we're getting back to what we normally do while still doing all the things that we got used to doing that were different. So it's really, we're really kicking into high gear here, and the Night Demon machine is just it's getting bigger and bigger and picking up more and more steam. And we're, like I said, we're up for the challenge, and we'll keep delivering the goods here.
Been a bit of a wait for fans, including me, for this compilation to come out, and finally it's out, and it's on streaming platforms everywhere, and anywhere that you stream music, basically, people can check it out. And where else?
Right. And it's available, in all major retailers. So it's available at your record stores. It's available online pretty much everywhere. I don't know how many copies we have left. I think the artist exclusive is pretty much gone. But, we'll be getting in some more colors of the vinyl, and we'll be, going on tour. And that's what this year is about. It's touring off of Year of the Demon. And near the end of the year, we're going to put out a new record, and then that whole cycle is going to start. So, I just want to say that I appreciate all the fans out there for, it's rough trying to chase all this stuff down as a collector, wanting to get all these variants and stuff. And, especially for the subscribers, we have a plan moving forward of a way that we're going to try and soften that blow for you guys. And I'll be sending a video message to the subscribers probably next week, kind of explaining about some things that are coming up and what we're going to do different on the next record to give you guys a bit of a discount and make sure that you can get everything in one place and just deal directly with the band. And that's what we really want to do. We want to make that experience for the people that really support us. We want to make that experience enjoyable for them, and we want to deal with them directly so they don't have to order from all these different countries and different distros and pay shipping many times and try and get stuff before it sells out. So we're conscious of that, and we will be doing that. And we have another little surprise coming up this summer that we're gonna let the subscribers in on too. So yeah, a lot of good stuff. And hey, look, we're all here. We're all still here. We made it through this. We're taking a bit of a break here in the episodes of the songs from Year of the Demon to talk about the album released today, but we'll get back into it next week and finish up throughout the next month or so, and then we're back. We're on the road, and we're coming to your town.
Great. So new album today, Year of the Demon. Also look out for Beer of the Demon. And thanks for coming on.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you on the road.
So Night Demon has been pretty busy with this compilation release. They've been hard at work promoting it online on multiple radio stations and podcasts and doing interviews. And I'm going to play you some clips from these now, since some of them are pretty interesting. I'm going to cut down these multiple hours of interviews and podcast episodes into some short clips here. But be sure to check out the full versions. I'll give you more info as I get to them. But there'll be links to all of these full podcasts and interviews in the show notes on nightdemon.net. So this first clip is from Interview Under Fire, which is a podcast. It's on Spotify. I think you can find it on all major podcast platforms. It's from season 12, episode 2. This is Armand, John Anthony of Night Demon on the Interview Under Fire podcast.
Hey, metalheads. It's Armand, John Anthony here from Night Demon, and you're listening to Interview Under Fire.
All right, everyone, I want to welcome you all back to a new episode of Interview Under Fire. As always, this is your host, Sonny, back here once again. Today, I have the honor of speaking with an immensely talented individual, and Armand, John Anthony. Thank you so much for joining our IUF series today, man. Now, here's the thing. This is the beginning of an important yet exciting year for you and the rest of the guys over at Night Demon with the release of your latest compilation album, Year of the Demon, set to unleash here on March 25th via Century Media. Let me begin by, commending you on all the well-deserved recognition this has been getting so far. I mean, it's filled with these 5 singles with cover tunes, B-sides, live recordings, all mixed into this. I feel like it's like a sleeper hit that I didn't even see coming. And there's just so much to discover about this record and who you're all about. But before we get to all that, Armand, I mean, we talked about it before the interview started, right? Now that we're all kind of just collectively seeing the light at the end of this tunnel that we've been in for the last, 2 years, right? How are you, obviously? Yeah. And how has 2022 been like out on the West Coast? If you can even sum it up into words, but take it from here.
Okay, well, 2022. So what? Now we're in February.
Yeah,
So,
1, 2, 3. You know, you kind of have to like count to see where you are now.
I know, because it's like those last 2 years were kind of a blur, even though, we obviously we couldn't do any touring and all that. And that was the big thing. 2020 was that was supposed to be the year of the demon. That's where we came up with that,
Yep.
So that's been around since then.
And for a lot of
Because
people, apparently, the year, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had the singles dropped, all this. We had basically all the touring plans that we're going to be doing this year were supposed to happen back then. We managed to stay busy with having my studio here, and then we have rehearsal rooms that we built 2 doors down, and we have like a headquarters thing there. And Jarvis runs all the business stuff out of there, and so we managed to keep recording and do as much as we can. And so far 2022, well, it's been okay. It started out okay. I mean,
think about actually, this. It's 2022, right?
I know.
See,
right?
So this was meant to be, I guess, the year of the demon. If you were to switch some things around, looking from that perspective,
right?
But
just change it to TOO. We'll call it that. So it's just, it's good. I mean, there's a lot of excitement that we're actually going to be able to get out there again. I mean, we're gung ho. We have stuff that's on the books and it's been announced, and we're going ahead with it until they like hold us down and tell us we can't. I don't know.
This new album drops March 25th through Century Media. Now, diving a little further into this new album, I mentioned that 2017 album, Darkness Remains. That's when you joined, but then you also had Curse of the Damned, 2015, and both albums. I love those albums because they were both solid efforts through and through. Both albums complemented each other. I don't know if you hear that a lot between the two albums. I felt like it really showcased. Again, this is just a fan of me. It really showcased Night Demons. I felt like place in the heavy metal realm. There were traditional sounds in there. It took me back to, I don't know what about you, but it took me back to the early days of like bands like Diamond Head and maybe even Angel Witch, but with a contemporary sound of everything that you guys are. Like, I know it's Night Demon, right?
Yeah.
So, and I know this is a compilation, as I've stated earlier, with the 5 singles, with the cover tunes, the B-sides. Did it, at any point, Armand, did it feel like a transition record from like the previous LPs? Or in other words, did you guys know what this release was going to look like back in 2020, if that makes sense? I said 2020. I can't even. The
2020.
Q's and the O's are mixing me up, man.
No, so I guess initially, these songs we were gonna put out the singles, and then we were gonna compile them with a whole new B-side. Because at the time we had written kind of this sort of piece of music that, it's a few songs that kind of all flow together. And it was like, okay, this could be cool as one thing. So maybe we could take the singles, that'll be the A side, and then these new songs will be the B side. Well, things with Night Demon are always very fluid. Things always are changing and morphing into something else. And so, the singles did really well. We put them out. And then, we weren't able to tour on all that stuff. And then meanwhile, since we were here, we just kept working on more material and all that. And so we wrote more material and decided, well, hold on, now let's save this other piece and then put it together. I think we wrote another 5 songs or something. And that'll be the proper new album. These singles, I think, were kind of a bridge, like you said, and also the way we had written them, they were kind of all over the place. Like, we kind of always felt like maybe they were, the reason we decided to put them out individually is because we felt like they were each standalone things, and
which they were.
Yeah. And then, but I always wanted to do something like to get them out there all together, because the vinyl singles, I mean, those things sold out like every day we announced them, the 500 copies or whatever it was, 1,000 copies were like gone. And, you could get them on, we had them up on the Spotify or whatever, streaming, but the B-sides weren't online, So that'll be cool. And it's just great to have it all in one place, in a new packaging and new artwork, which is fucking some of my favorite I think it's my favorite album cover in the catalog.
Man, so I gotta say this because Empires, the way this album kicks off, and then To Kill the Pain, which holy shit, that song, probably one of my favorite traditional heavy metal songs with just a contemporary sound I've heard in a long time. Kill the Pain, you guys knocked it out of the park. And Trance, and that Scorpions cover, the 100 miles per hour, that Serious Dungal cover with Tim Baker, obviously, and also another shout out to Uli John Roth. I feel like we need more compilation albums like this. We don't get that a lot these days. This had everything for not only just a Night Demon fan, but I feel like also for a metal fan alone. I hope I'm speaking for a lot of metal fans out there, because I'm always a metal fan first when I speak to, artists like you.
Yeah.
But now you have this, now you have this other release that's planned coming up in the final months of this year, like we just briefly talked about. Could Year of the Demon serve as like a sneak peek on what's to come from you guys on the next studio album, or are we just barely scratching the surface here? Loaded question, but I feel like a lot of your fans would love to know more about this. Again, whatever you can, I cannot say. I don't want to get you in trouble here.
Okay, well, I could say there will be some elements, but it will be like going from the demo to the final album, kind of, in a way. Like, you can look at the Year of the Demon songs as like, the demos for the new record. I don't know, even though they're different songs, but like there's some things that we kind of experimented and tried that are maybe taken to the next level now.
It's like the B-sides to the B-sides.
Yeah. Like, for example,
you guys should do that anyway, just to fuck everyone up. It's like, here we go.
Yeah. Like, for example, I would say, like, here's a little sneak peek. Like the somber kind of interlude thing in the middle of Empire's Fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's going to be more of that, like more epic kind of shit like that, So that's about all I'm going to say about that. But
man, you see me with that grin on my face. I'm just rubbing my hands here. Just anyway, that's good. It's just, I love that you got. Hey, now we have to do another interview. Now we have a case for it. So
there you go.
Now, so let me ask you this now, because we talked about the beginning stages of Year of the Demon, and now we are in the transitional phase, so to speak. Was there any such thing as pressure for you, Armand, for you and the guys, when you decided to sit down and write again for a new album, for following up for the 2017 record? Or, do you relate to that? Or was it just, you know what, fuck it, we're going to do what we're going to do?
I mean, myself personally, yeah, of course, because like when I came into the band, about 70% of those songs for that On Darkness were pretty much written,
Yeah.
Like, I got to come in and there were no solos written, so that was like my thing. Like, I had full reign, to do whatever on the guitar solo. So that was like my imprint on those songs. And then, but we wrote like I think it was Black Widow that we wrote as an afterthought. We needed a couple more songs, and so that was the first song I wrote with the band. So this time, after I'm always thinking about that kind of stuff. I don't know if I speak for the other guys, but yeah, I mean, we're always trying to push the next level and feel like, like, what are we going to do next? Because we don't want to write another heavy metal heat. It's already there, like, why are we going to try to beat that? We need to write the song that's not there yet, or we need those songs that we don't already have. I mean, there's always going to be, the Night Demon's signature thing, like, there's always going to be some bass and guitar harmony parts together, because that's kind of what we do, but it's going to be done in different ways, or crazier than before, or more melodic than before. So I definitely felt some pressure, and still feel the pressure, because I don't know what people are going to think about it yet.
I feel like pressure is a good thing to a certain extent. I feel like that kind of just, if you didn't have pressure, I felt like, listen, pressure can be defined in one or many ways. If you didn't have pressure, I feel like you wouldn't care about your product or craft as much. It shows that you value the work that you're putting in, the dedication you're putting in, and that kind of just sets the bar for yourself mentally. Okay, I got to get to here.
And then having like certain things, like we set goals, like we had to, we had basically taken the month of October to finish writing the few more songs that we needed for this record. We said, Dusty, our drummer, he has been living back in Pennsylvania through the pandemic, and like we're like, okay, well, October's the month, come out. We're gonna stay here. He'll be here for 5 weeks, and we got to fucking write and record at least his drum parts before he leaves for 5-6 songs or whatever. And we fucking did it, but we had to, because if not, then it was like, either we have to extend his stay, and it's like, no, we're not going to do that. We're gonna get it done. We're gonna do it. So that's one kind of pressure that has been good for us, setting goals and like deadlines, and like, we kind of have to do it, or else we're letting ourselves down.
Yeah.
So.
And I know you're in the studio right now, so to speak. I think you said there was another room on the other side, or yeah. So I was gonna ask because the sound itself on Year of the Demon was a big part of this release that I really loved. Like cool. I'm an audiophile these days, Armand. I don't know about you, but I'm very picky on how I want my music to sound, the way I want it to sound. I'm at the point where I'm messing with all the fucking EQ levels, whatever I can find,
nice.
Whatever EQ levels behind that one. But tell me more about this as far as like producing, engineering, and mixing. Did you guys do this yourselves? Did you bring in a team to handle this part of the album, or even your next one that you're working on? How is that being structured on your end?
Well, with the
songs, because I feel like that's important.
Yeah, no, the songs that ended up as the singles, and another part of why we released them individually at first was we kind of came up with this idea where, we had always kind of done stuff on our own. Like we'd worked, a good buddy of mine, Roger Camaro, had recorded The Curse of the Dam, The Darkness Remains record. Yeah. And, we went back to high school together. We've learned, him and myself, we came up learning how to record together and all that stuff. So it was just an obvious thing, but it was always a thought of like, okay, well, you always hear about bands that have their producers, like the Metallica with Fleming or Bob Rock or whatever. And it just like, they just work together. And, we definitely know how to produce our own music, but having another outside ear is an interesting thing, So we're like, well, let's try to work with our fucking, I don't know, let's come up with a dream list of people that we want to work with, And on that list was Steve Albini, Fleming Rasmussen, people like that. And so Empire's Fall was recorded first. And at the time when we recorded that, we didn't even know what it was going to be for, or if it was just going to be a demo at that point. But I had brought in a friend of mine, a producer that I had worked with in LA before, this guy, Matt Hyde, who had done like a couple of the later Slayer records and some really cool shit. And so we started there, and then it was like, well, wait, let's, we got these other songs, and we were like, well, we're going to Denmark to start the Sacred Right tour. It's the first show's in Denmark. Well, Fleming's in Denmark. Well, let's go there like a week early and book a couple of days with him and record. That's where we did Kill the Pain and 100 Miles Per Hour.
Wow.
And that was a bucket list thing for us. Obviously, dude, he did the fucking best 3 Metallica records, and countless other shit, I think he did some of the later Rainbow stuff too, I think, right?
Yeah. Wow. That's news to me. I didn't know that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that was an amazing experience. We really clicked with him, and then we went to Chicago and recorded with Steve Albini at Electrical Audio, which is an amazing studio that he built from like the ground up, and did, that's where we did Are You Out There? We did the music for that song there. So, but you know what? After doing all that, it was cool. We also had Kurt Ballou from Converge mix Visteria.
Holy shit!
Which we recorded here. I recorded that, but we wanted to get an outside mixer, and he killed it on that one. We wanted to go record at his place. That was one of the plan, but it was just schedules didn't work out, And then it was kind of in the midst of the pandemic too, or right before it, or it was that song kind of came together kind of last minute. But again, I'm going off on a tangent here, but
no, I love these tangents, dude.
But look, it's all come back around. Basically, we've worked with all these people, and it's come back to us again, just kind of being like, well, all right, that was cool, but we could have done it pretty much just as good, really, at this point, you know? So the whole new record has been recorded here at the captain's quarters by myself. And, you know, we've done everything here and just taken all of our years of everything that we've ever done and put it into this new record. So I don't know if I'm going to end up mixing it. Like we're pretty happy with the way it's sounding already, but I am curious to see if we bring in another mixer on this record and see how that would sound, just to get a fresh perspective on it. But like the way we've recorded it, I mean, the sounds are kind of like already there, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, if somebody does do it, like, I wouldn't want them to completely reimagine it. Just, you know, give it the polish and the sheen that it needs, you know, in the right places.
Man,
So
I feel like, I mean, listen to what you just told me, just on all those specific details on how the production process works on your experience, Armand, because I feel like this is also an extension of you as a musician. Not only are you composing your music, but you're getting the delivery out there the way the music is meant to be sound. I feel like it's kind of it's easy to like, okay, we get a producer who's like, hey, here's this, do that, you know? But I felt like when you actually compose the music and you sit down, I feel like it pushes yourself as a musician. I feel like you're a better musician today than you were before, you know, this all started. The
for
demon,
sure.
you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like the production process kind of showed me that as you explained it.
You know, I got to remember sometimes, like, we're always chasing the bigger thing, or, you know, trying to get more the next level. But really, I mean, shit, here I am. I remember thinking like, man, one day I'm going to have my own fucking studio, and like, I'm going to have everything like ready to go at any time, you know? And I fucking do. If you walk around this place, there's drums set up, ready to go. There's like 3 or 4 different Marshall amps and Gibson guitars, and I have a tape machine and fucking, yeah, I guess I have, at this point, if I fucking die tomorrow, I'm good, you know? Yeah.
And here you are, this new year, you got 2 albums coming out this year. Let me remind you,
Yeah,
you got 2
awesome.
albums. You're working with an amazing publicist and Nikki Law. Shout out to her. And I feel like the sky is only going to get, I mean, there is no sky for you guys because there is no limit for Night Demon. I can't wait to see.
No, man.
Where
We're
you
going
guys
to the moon, baby.
This next clip is from the Vericu podcast. It's available on YouTube, and they're talking to Dusty Squires. Again, a link to this full episode will be in the show notes. It's available on YouTube. Here is Dusty Squires.
Hi, Dustin. Welcome to Vericu. We're a site located in Guadalajara, Mexico, and super excited to talk to you, man.
Hell yeah, Guadalajara. Good time spent there for sure in the past.
Let's talk about Year of the Demon, your latest compilation.
So I think in this case, you know, we put these singles out, but they didn't feel like a record, you know, and now we decided, instead of like, you know, doing an EP and then re-releasing these 5 songs or 4 originals later again, let's just put these all together in like one compilation, because not everybody got the physical, you know, 7 inches and didn't hear those beats. And so now it's the first time that everybody can hear these all together. So, you know, luckily Century Media is cool with us and like go along with our crazy ideas. And they thought the 7-inch idea was a little like, they thought it was a bad idea at first, or they didn't really know what they thought about it. If it was going to work or not. And turned out that it worked out really well, you know, with the timing of everything.
The songs are like super amazing. I mean, being a fan myself, but I want to, the latest thing you released was the Thin Lizzy cover. In being a Thin Lizzy fan myself, is like, how did these guys choose that one song that is like kind of bluesy and kind of soul, but you managed to do it on your own style? I don't know. Tell me more about the process of how you own that particular track.
Yeah, that was kind of an idea that floated around pretty early on. Jarvis one day was like, you know, Sun Goes Down is such a cool, vibey song. And he's like, you know, I have this kind of vision of just rocking it out. And, you know, when he brought that up to me, looking at it like, in that moment, I thought the same thing. I'm like, how on earth are we going to like rock this thing out?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like we kind of stayed true to who we are as a band and also paid tribute to them. But like, you know, you get that vibe with the song to start, and then, you know, we just take it to another place. And that's us. I call it demonizing a song.
Yeah.
You know, like anytime we do a cover, you know, we do it the way that we would write a song, in the sense of like, what would we do, and how can we just like get to the point, just and get through the song. So I think that's a pretty good representation of what we do as a band, is that that song and the rest of Year of the Demon. Because if you think of the songs on that album, they're all standalone songs. That, you know, that was why it was hard for us to kind of put these on to an actual record, because it didn't really make sense to us as a record. We were growing as a band, and we were playing certain songs certain ways, and you could tell that our musicianship was going to another level as well, compared to like Curse of the Damned and, you know, the early stuff.
For us Night Demon fans, we know about the close relationship you guys with Kieran Tungle. So how did that song happen, and what did you choose that particular cover, and how was working with Tim? I mean, the legend.
Yeah, I mean, that was a song that we thought if we were ever going to cover a Sir Thungle song, it was like, this is the closest song that they ever wrote that's kind of like the Night Demon vibe. You know, that upbeat kind of snare, and like I call it the pre-thrash vibe, you know, kind of like the Motorheady kind of thing, where you're not really completely thrashing, but you're pretty much there. That song embodies that. And, you know, we did it our way, but we kept it as close to the original as possible. And, you know, we respect them, and we work for them. Like Jarvis is in the band, but Armand and I both tech for them. So, you know, we're there with them all the time. We have a close relationship outside of our band and their band. And
what is your favorite thing about this Year of the Demon compilation?
I love the artwork. I think the artwork's great. I think the front cover kicks ass, you know, like, yeah, we're re-releasing these songs in some sense, in some form, but just the artwork alone, I would want, if I was a fan of the band, I would want it, you know, just because it is something different. And the songs do have they've been all mastered together this time instead of all being separate. So it does have a different sound a little bit. So there are some nuances and some things, you know, the true fans, I think, are going to hear it and go, that's off Year of the Demon, and that's the single version because the mix is different or whatever.
Okay, next up is the Riffs or Die podcast with David Sanchez, who's the singer and guitarist of the band Havoc. This is episode number 67 with guest Jarvis Leatherby. You can find this on Spotify and all other podcast platforms. This is Riffs or Die.
Well, I'm stoked to have you on the podcast. I know that you guys are going to be putting out a new release. Please tell me and everybody what's going on with that, because you guys put out a bunch of stuff, like, peppered throughout time, but is it all coming out together?
Yeah, so in 2020 we put out 5 singles. So the idea was pre-pandemic, we were like, okay, let's try something a little different here, because we were just writing a bunch of different, I guess stylistically the songs that we were writing were, you know, not very cohesive on a full-length album. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just we were just kind of going, just experimenting. I mean, nothing crazy, but just, I don't know, like we just kind of felt like we were writing, for the first time, we were writing songs just for the song. And we were really concentrating on one song at a time. You know, it's like, hey, here's the vibe of this thing. Okay, now we're in this mode. Here's the vibe of this thing. And at the end of the day, they kind of stood on their own. So we approached the label about doing it. And that was met with quite a bit of hesitancy. And I get why, but I was like, look, man, like singles are like, they're not the future. They're kind of the now because of the way that people listen to music. I said,
agree.
but Yeah, I said, but we're an old school band too, and so I want to keep the old school traditions. And I explained to them like I'm like a big music historian, so I was like, look, singles are also the old way. Like that's how music used to come out. It was a song, and it came out on a 7-inch vinyl, and the LP wasn't created until you had to compile these things. That's when the 33 and a third record, it was created for that reason. Like full length records were just compilations of singles, and it's like, so we want to do what's new and we want to do what's old as well. And we want to stick with our traditions. So what we did was in 2020, starting in April, we released a single every 5 weeks on a 7-inch and digitally with like a lyric video and a behind the scenes thing of us, making the song. And we didn't do any pre-order. We didn't do any promotion for it like ahead of time. And we just kind of dropped them every 5 weeks. We didn't tell the fans what was coming. At some point they were like, when the fuck is this going to end? But like, thankfully they all sold out each day they went on sale. So, wow. I mean, it was cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, I was worried at first. I was like, as soon as they agreed to do it, I was like, fuck guys, like we're going to be sitting on a lot of records at the end of the year, because, you're making 1,000 7-inches every 5 weeks or something. It's like, at a certain point, it's like somebody's going to say like, what the fuck? But anyway, yeah, it was, we went out to do this whole experiment with all these different guys. Matt Hyde did the first song, Empire's Fall. And then we went out to Denmark and recorded with Flemming Rasmussen for the song Kill the Pain. We went to Chicago, recorded with Steve Albini to do the song Are You Out There? The fifth single is us playing a couple old 70s Scorpions covers in Germany on stage with Uli John Roth.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, it was just really cool to be able to kind of do something different. And now that we're getting back on the road, we were like, okay, well, we're not going to release another fucking record like while we're not able to go support it. So the label is like, hey, let's just put out a comp of all the stuff, because the B-sides on the singles were never available online. They were just on the 7-inches, and those went quick, and they went to collectors. A lot of people don't even open them and play them, so we thought it'd be good to get these songs out there. So here you go. You got 10 songs that came out in 2020. 5 of the tracks have probably not been heard by most people, and yeah, it's nice, neat package, and it's like keeps our discography clean, and fuck it, it's another thing that we want to put out and go out there and hit the road and do some stuff with before our new record comes out.
Yeah, dude, so, that Maiden cover is sick as fuck. You guys did a great job on that. Where was that recorded?
Thank you. That was at the Beachland Ballroom in Cleveland, Ohio.
All right. It came out amazing. That's a really, really good cover.
Yeah, thanks. The energy was definitely there tonight. They set an attendance record there by overselling the venue. Yeah, no, it was good. I'm glad that we hung on to that, Yeah.
That's awesome. You guys have a song called Visteria, and is Visteria a term that you guys whipped up for the song, or is it a real thing? Okay.
Yeah, no, we created it. I think actually Urban Dictionary went with it after our song came out and said, okay, well, here's a new word. So
wow.
It's a viral hysteria is kind of the way we thought it. And so we wrote this song in March of 2020 when we kind of saw what was going to happen here. And Night Demon has never written a politically charged song ever in our career. We were just not that kind of band. And we just kind of decided, well, this is a pretty interesting thing that is happening. And so right when the first thing was headed for lockdown, right when we were trying to flatten the curve in the first 2 weeks, when we had the 2-week lockdown, right, and then we were supposed to be all fine, we wrote this song right away. I mean, we were seeing stuff on the news that said literally, like, I saw things that said like no hope, things like this. And we were just like, whoa, hold the fuck on. We kind of just wanted to write a song about the influence of the media and information. In no way were we any kind of COVID deniers or anything like this. This was well before the vaccine was even really talked about when we wrote this. But Yeah, this song ended up coming out in July of 2020. So just to give you some perspective on the timeline, okay, so we wrote it in March. We obviously had to record it and press it on vinyl, so it came out in July. Did it come out on July 4th? I can't remember. That would have been perfect. But yeah, the cover art depicts a doctor pulling his skin off his face in a mad panic, like he's got this deadly virus. And you've also got some military men on there with assault rifles and gas masks, and you got politicians holding stacks of cash. And for us, it's like we just kind of saw the writing on the wall, and we're like, wow, this is really cool. We could finally write a political song in this band, because we just knew, we're like, this is going to be something big. We've never thought we'd see something like this in our lifetime. Like, this is going to be something this is going to blow up in everybody's face.
Hell yeah. Well, what day is this new release coming out?
March 25th. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. Year of the Demon. It's the 2020 singles collection. I always thought that kind of sounded cool too. Like, I was always a fan. Like, when the Cult put out like their singles, it's like, hey, the singles collection or something like that. I'm like, oh, okay, Yeah,
keep it up, dude. I'm really stoked on what you guys are doing and the music you're putting out and the message that you're putting out. And I just love it. I love old school heavy metal. I love fast, tight, and heavy. And that's what you guys do. Thanks a lot for taking the time, Jarvis. I really appreciate it, bro.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, so next up, we have the Horns Up podcast. And this is a podcast out of India. You can find this one also on Spotify and all podcast platforms. And they managed to get all three members of Night Demon together for an interview. The first time they've done an interview all together since the last Christmas special on this podcast. So this is the Horns Up podcast.
The reason we are up and about at 3 a.m. is because, well, this was the only time that we could find to sync up with the boys from Night Demon, who are all, as you guessed it, in different parts of the world, in different time zones. Night Demon boys, welcome to Horns Up. So let's just go around the room. How are we feeling, guys? Are you guys excited, nervous? What's the story like about this particular compilation? Why release it right now?
I'm excited about it because, we put these out in the middle of the pandemic when it started, and we weren't able to tour on the songs and like get to play them live and really see how people reacted to them. And so it's exciting to be able to do that and actually get out there and, get behind it like normal. And then also it's cool to have it all in one place. Not everybody got a chance to grab the singles when they first came out, even though they were on, the streaming sites, you couldn't, none of the B-sides were available. So those were exclusive. So now everything will be together in one nice little package and new art and everything. So yeah, it's cool. It feels like, it's something new instead of like, okay, it's 2 years later and we're going to finally tour on this. Even though those songs were released then, it's still, for me at least, it feels like a new thing. So
I think we all pretty much have the same sentiment. In heavy metal, you got to tour when you put music out. I think without a band like touring, in metal, without a band hitting the road and really doing a full like cycle of touring around an album, like some of these albums they just die so quickly because news just changes constantly,
Yeah, for sure. And I think that was kind of a cool thing that the singles worked out the way they did during the pandemic. And, we kicked the idea around of maybe doing like an EP and then re-releasing these singles that way. But then, that idea just didn't seem very, fitting for us and didn't seem like a great idea. So what seemed like a better idea was to put this all together and put the B-sides with the singles and, just put it all together for everybody, because a lot of people didn't get to hear these songs. And
I hate to be such a modernist about this, okay? But like, I think a lot of it too is like when you're talking about the way that the digital streaming platforms are set up. I mean, that's just how most people are listening to music. Like, I'm fine with that because we still do put out vinyl and cassette and everything else. But like, when you look at a band's albums, it's at the top, right? And you have to scroll down to find any like EPs or singles or any of that. Most people, including myself, don't even get down that far, you know? So like, we wanted to have this as a full length album where it's in our discography, which is not huge, you know, and it's available there to be discovered. You know, we did the same thing with our debut EP. It was 4 songs. Okay. And the distributors told us that, okay, when you put this on Spotify and Apple Music, like, it's going to go in the singles and EP section. We're like, it can't, like, it's basically our first release. It's super important. These songs aren't redone on the other records. So we decided, I found a loophole, and it's basically like, if you have at least 7 songs versus 30 minutes, you qualifies for an album. So we put some bonus tracks on there, and that's why it lives there. So I think that's kind of my closing statement on the whole compilation vibe. You know, it's like it lives in there. Actually, and you know, this actually makes me think even more. Is this going to end up in the compilation section of Spotify? Is that like under
the compilation section? Oh shit!
I hope not. Right?
Yeah. Right.
Oh man, like honestly, sometimes it boggles my mind how the business of music is so far away from just the intent of why music is made and why we're all doing this in the first place. It is what it is.
Well, the reason is that, you know, Spotify and Apple and these people leading the music industry, they're not music people. They're tech companies.
They're businessmen.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're tech, but they're tech companies. They have no interest in art or music. You know, so you can't rely on them to. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen some of the playlists. You know, it's like there's no guidance there, and the algorithms are fucking terrible. You know, so I feel like I'm listening to just like terrestrial radio when I let the thing go wild, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm like, all right, like Blackfoot radio. And it's like, the next song's like, Don't Fear the Reaper. And then like Jesse's Girl. It's like, fuck, you know? So I want to like, but it's, you have the whole database of all the music in the world. I want to discover something new that's old or whatever, you know? So.
Right. So we'll talk about the upcoming tour and the album in a bit, but just first, let's wrap up our chat about Year of the Demon by talking about 60% of the album, which is actually covers. So let's talk about the choice of covers. And I have a few questions on this. So let's go one by one. Which was the first cover that as a band you're locked in on?
Shoot, I don't know, guys. Did we actually think of that, or we just kind of?
Okay, I have never thought about this, but I could honestly say, and tell me if you guys agree, I think it just went in order of this release of the singles. I pretty much think that, right? Like, I think that we just we sold the idea to the label of doing the singles, and then we had no songs though. So we were like, okay, like now we gotta write this. I mean, we had some ideas, but like we were like, now we gotta write the song. So I think it started like we just took it one by one, which was great. I mean, we focused on the songs as they were, the original songs and the concepts and the artwork, and then said, okay, what's a cover that would go good with this, or what's a cover we always wanted to do, right? But I mean, I remember like, shit, I mean, even after the first or 2 singles came out, we were still working on the others, and like we were still deciding, right?
Wasted Years we had in our back pocket. We were saving that from the live album for something.
It was the encore to our live album, Live Darkness, and it was the only track we left off because we specifically didn't want to have an Iron Maiden song on our live record, okay? So we had discussed this many times as a band that we didn't want to cover an Iron Maiden song. We never wanted to put that out, especially like a studio version of any Iron Maiden song. But the live song, you know, years had gone by and we had this track and it sounded really good. And we decided to do it. And we actually had to get permission from the band in order to do it. And they signed off on it. And like that kind of gave us a lot more confidence in it, you know? The other B-sides, I mean, Fast Bikes from LaGriff, you know, I'm really proud to say that nobody knew about that band, and now the band just got a repress on their vinyl. It's being posted about tons online. People are listening to our podcast and talking about it and like buying the records. The band is actually rumored to possibly reunite summer of 2023 now. They haven't played since 1984. So, like we shed some light on some stuff. The Sirathungal cover, Sirathungal's like our older little brother band. So like those guys are in the same room with us all the time, and we finally found a song of theirs and they don't play it live. So like we decided to do it. And Tim was there to sing on it, and it was Dustin. What was the other cover? What am I missing?
Sun Goes Down was the other one.
Oh
right?
yeah,
The Thin Lizzy one.
Yeah.
Well, and plus we're a three-piece band, so we have to find songs that we can pull off as a three-piece. I mean, there's not many Maiden songs we can do as a three-piece. There's not many Scorpion songs we can do as a three-piece. There's, so you got to kind of like look at the stuff that fits our style. Same thing with 100 Miles Per Hour. I remember Jarvis being like, "Hey, check this song out." I'm like, "No shit, this is like really a lot like how we play." And they don't really have many songs that have that kind of upbeat thing. And then Sun Goes Down was just something that was like, hey, we're going to, revamp this song and rock it out. And it was kind of like, whoa, how are we going to do that? But, then you figure out ways to pull it off. But you can't be doing a ton of songs that have all these harmonies and stuff like that, So a lot of the decisions come from, can we pull it off or not as a three-piece, whether we like the song or not,
And let me just say quickly about Sun Goes Down. That was actually just released this last week as a single, and so people finally got to hear it around the world. People that didn't have not one of the lucky people that bought a 7-inch and just put it in their closet because they didn't want to open it because devalue it. Like I'm here in Ireland, where Thin Lizzy's from, and like I'm a part of all these like Facebook like Irish metalhead groups, and of course like I posted it there and on every Thin Lizzy fan site I could find. And I gotta tell you, I've been receiving a lot of personal messages from people saying like, I cannot stop playing this song. This is really like hitting me hard. I love what you guys did to it and put your own spin on it. And then on the other end of it, there's an equal amount of people saying this, like, this is a disgrace, like it's crazy. Like true Thin Lizzy heads, like this song means a lot to me, and you're not going to ruin it for me, or I hate how you guys sped it up, and but then other people will be like, they'll notice little things like, I love how you added in like Killing of the Buffalo and like Heart Attack at the end. Like they really listen, so I love that it's getting a reaction because, good or bad, it gets a reaction. And it's like, it's cool to watch other people just kind of go to bat for you sometimes with negativity, but also it's interesting to see, in today's culture, how people will really just try and take you down, like they really will do that. And like, they feel like they're validated in doing so. And it's just fucking crazy because you would never.
Also, at the end of the day, like we enjoy the version of it that we made, and it's like, we enjoy listening to this stuff that we make. We're not just doing it to get a reaction or just doing it to put it out. Like,
that's a really good point.
If we thought it sucked, we wouldn't, what the hell? So regardless of however people feel about it, at the end of the day, it's what we like to listen to as well,
Historically, you guys have had a great mix of songs, covers, gig recordings on almost all your albums so far. And now you've gone out and you've kind of declared and made it known that there's a new album in the works. It's expected in November 2022 or around that time. What can you tell us at the moment about the new album?
It freaking rips, bro.
Yeah. No, I'll say,
without giving too much away, obviously, it's like any band, they always say their newest stuff's their best stuff. That's always, that. And then like, it's like Don Dokken puts out a turd, it's like, God, no. I think the singles and getting those going helped us get back into the songwriting mode. And, after that, I think it really helped us get to the next album. and be able to write these songs and take those songs to another level. And I think that is kind of what we were after, is just a progression, is how do we, write more songs, and how do we take it to another level and do stuff we've never done before. So, but still keeping it Night Demon. I think when people hear this, they're going to say like, wow, some people might take a few listens. Some people might be amazing right off the bat. You never know. But for us, and how we talked about what we like to listen to, we like to listen to stuff that sounds good to us. And I know the three of us, with what we've written so far and what we have recorded, it's enjoyable to listen to. I know, speaking for me, in my opinion, I enjoyed listening to what we've come up with. And, I think that's something that people can look forward to is something new, something fresh, something that they've never heard. It's not heavy metal heat 2.0, it's holds a little more water than that.
Yeah, we've all consciously, like in our own parts and everything, have tried to push the envelope for ourselves. So it's going to be just like the best that we've been able to do up to this point. It's going to be all there. So we're going to have the hints of the past, but also some new stuff that we've never done before. Nothing totally crazy, and like there's not going to be any samba parts on the record or anything. But, inflation of everything that we've done, that we've just finally put in a pot together. It's like the biggest batch of songs that we've written collectively, as this lineup, so just trying to expand on things and give people something better than, they expect. So yeah, that, until it gets out there, who knows, but at least we're happy with it. Again, going back to that point, like it excites us. And
yeah, I agree with everything those guys said, and that's completely correct. And yeah, it's funny, unpopular opinion. Band says their latest record is their greatest, or there's an evolution, it's a progression. But it really is, and we're still three guys, and what I really appreciate about what we're doing is we're continuing to expand in a musical direction with what we have. It's still three guys, and we're just finding, just when you think like everything's been done, you've come up with innovations, and you guys will hear some of that on this record, and there's just that shit excites me, man, when we're just like, oh my God, how did nobody ever do this in a song? Or like, let's take it somewhere completely different, but somewhere that feels great and kicks ass. The music is all done, and it is fucking great. Like, it's better than good. It's fucking great.
So that's it for this week. Again, if you'd like to hear the full-length interviews and episodes that these clips are from, links are in the show notes and on nightdemon.net, along with some links to some other interviews and podcasts that I didn't have time to include here. And don't forget, Year of the Demon, the new Night Demon album, out today. So go out and pick up a copy. It's in stores in multiple formats. It's on all streaming platforms. Be sure to look out for Night Demon's live streaming from the Casa Agria Brewing on April 1st. More details on Instagram and Facebook. And also Night Demon's album release show / beer release show, Year of the Demon and Beer of the Demon, April 16th at Casa Agria Brewing in Oxnard, California. You can get tickets at nightdemon.net/tour. Until next week, this is Nesbitt signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
All hail, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. This is your comrade, the Crypt Keeper here, reporting dead from the sanctuary of the strange. Tonight's macabre myth is a fright-filled feature, one overflowing with monsters, madness, and magic.
Visit our website at monstersmadnessandmagic.com to stay up to date on all the dark dealings within the sanctuary of the strange. Enjoy the show.
Hey Metalheads, I'm Mark and I host the Metal Forge. Let me tell you about the show. The Metal Forge features the best underground metal from all over the world. We spend every week with a different artist with interviews, in-depth conversations, and most of all, the music. We also feature audience interactivity where you can submit your questions to the upcoming guests. New episodes are out every Friday at noon Eastern Time at metalforgeradio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Okay, metalheads, you've been complaining that there has not been a channel that plays all of the heavy metal videos from past, present, and future for years and years at this point. Well, that time is over. Heavy Metal Television is back. HeavyMetalTelevision.net is the website. Go there. You can see videos playing 24/7, 365, all the time, all the best from the old school, the new school, and everything in between. Check it out, HeavyMetalTelevision.net. It is where the metal is.